Tantric Buddhism is one of the most misunderstood spiritual traditions in the world. For some, it appears mysterious and secretive. For others, it is confused with superstition, magic, or even indulgence. And in modern popular culture, the word Tantra is often reduced to something entirely unrelated to its true meaning. But Tantric Buddhism, also known as Vajrayana, is not about escapism, mysticism for its own sake, or hidden power. It is a precise, disciplined, and compassionate path designed to transform the human mind at its deepest level. In this documentary, we will explore what Tantric Buddhism actually is, how it developed within the Buddhist tradition, why it uses rituals, symbols, mantras, and visualizations, the role of the teacher and initiation, and how these teachings apply directly to modern life. Nothing here replaces personal study or guidance. It is an invitation to understand one of humanity's most sophisticated approaches to awakening. The word Tantra comes from Sanskrit. Its original meaning is continuum, thread, or that which weaves together. In Buddhism, Tantra refers to teachings that work directly with the continuum of consciousness, the ongoing flow of experience from moment to moment. Rather than seeking enlightenment somewhere else, in another world or future life, Tantric Buddhism works with this body, this mind, and this moment. Tantra does not deny suffering. It does not suppress desire or emotion. Instead, it asks a radical question. What if the very things we struggle with could become the path itself? Fear, anger, attachment, confusion. These are not obstacles to be destroyed. They are energies to be understood, refined, and transformed. This is why Tantra is often described as a fast path, not because it is easy, but because it is direct. Tantric Buddhism does not exist in isolation. It grows organically from earlier Buddhist teachings. Traditionally, Buddhism is described as having three vehicles, or yanas, ways of traveling the path. The first vehicle, early Buddhism, also known as Hinayana. The earliest form of Buddhism focuses on ethical discipline, meditation, insight into impermanence, suffering, and non-self. The goal is liberation from suffering, freedom from the cycles of craving and dissatisfaction. This path emphasizes renunciation, simplicity, and clarity. Without this foundation, no higher practice is stable. The second vehicle, Mahayana. Mahayana Buddhism expands the vision. Here, the motivation shifts from personal liberation to universal compassion. The practitioner takes the bodhisattva vow to awaken not just for oneself, but for all beings. Mahayana introduces profound teachings on emptiness, shunyata, interdependence, boundless compassion. This vehicle emphasizes wisdom and altruism equally. The third vehicle, Vajrayana, Tantric Buddhism. Vajrayana builds upon both. It accepts the discipline of early Buddhist teachings, the compassion and wisdom of Mahayana, and then adds skillful means designed to accelerate realization. Vajrayana is called the diamond vehicle, indestructible, precise, and sharp. Its premise is radical. Enlightenment is something we uncover, our true Buddha nature, which has hitherto been obscured by mental stains. At the heart of Tantric Buddhism is a profound view of reality. It teaches that the mind's true nature is already pure. Confusion is temporary and conditioned. Awakening is not imported, it is revealed. This does not mean ordinary confusion is ignored. Rather, Tantra works with the mind exactly as it is, using visualization, symbol, sound, body awareness. Tantric practice reshapes perception itself. Instead of slowly removing layers, it introduces the experience of awakening directly, then trains the practitioner to stabilize it. One of the most misunderstood aspects of Tantric Buddhism is deity practice. These figures are not gods in the theistic sense, but are manifestations of enlightened beings. In one sense, they are symbolic expressions of enlightened qualities inherent in the mind, but on a deeper level, they are the manifestations of the Buddhas themselves, which are in reality not separate from ourselves. There are countless meditational deities that are practiced, as there are countless enlightened beings. Whilst sharing the same essence, Buddhahood, they can be understood to have different functions. For example, Manjushri embodies wisdom, Avalokiteshvara embodies compassion, Tara embodies fearless activity, Vajrasattva embodies purification. When a practitioner visualizes a deity, they are not imagining fantasy. They are training their perception, replacing habitual self-image with awakened identity. In Tantra, symbol bypasses intellectual resistance. Visualization speaks directly to deep layers of mind. Repetition stabilizes insight. Deity practice is a form of experiential training in mindfulness. Mantra is central to Tantric Buddhism. A mantra is the embodiment of a deity's speech in deity yoga, a sound formula that carries meaning, rhythm, and intention. Other mantras can be seen as more akin to magical utterances, but they are really expressing our inward thoughts in an outward display of energy. With our thoughts, we shape our minds, and we also shape the world around us. Mantras work by focusing attention, regulating breath, synchronizing body and mind. They work because mind and sound are deeply linked. When repeated with awareness, mantra becomes a vehicle for clarity, stability, and manifestation. Tantric Buddhism recognizes that enlightenment is embodied in the here and now, and that the physical is not to be shunned, but rather to be used skillfully on the path to awakening. For example, practitioners use mudras, ritual hand gestures, which align intention with physical form and aid concentration. They may also use mandalas in higher practices, either painted or made from colored sand. These represent the enlightened perception of the world around us as we do deity yoga. Creating and dissolving mandalas teaches impermanence, not merely intellectually, but physically. Tantric Buddhism places great importance on initiation or empowerment. During this process, the student's mental and physical aggregates are configured by the Vajra master into the enlightened forms of Buddhas. This awakens the student in a dramatic way to the reality of their true Buddha nature, and also purifies negativities of their body, speech, and mind, which prevent this being realized. There are broadly two different types of initiation. First, the ripening great empowerment, preceded by admittance into a deity's mandala. In this rite, the student is symbolically blindfolded and led around a physical representation of the mandala into which they themselves will arise as the deity. They take vows, such as the vows of individual liberation, the vows of the bodhisattva, and the higher tantric vows of the 5 Buddha families. They also make a commitment to observe their teacher as inseparable from the Buddhas themselves and to rely on their advice and not to disrespect them. Not because of power dynamics, but because it keeps the student mindful of the sacredness of the initiation they have received. They also promise not to reveal the intricacies of what they have been initiated into to those who have not been initiated. This is not about secrecy for power's sake. Rather, it's about protecting the student, preserving the integrity of the teachings, ensuring correct understanding. In order to give initiations, a teacher must be qualified. That is, he must have reached some level of realization through retreats, must have been admitted into the mandala himself by another qualified teacher, and must have permission to initiate from his own master. Very importantly, he must have a scholarly knowledge of all levels of Buddhism and have high moral standards. Following a great initiation, which usually takes 2 days, there are subsequent permission initiations which are much less elaborate and enable the student to visualize themselves as the respective deity, repeat the mantra, and engage in deity yoga practice. Lineage is incredibly important in Tantric Buddhism as it ensures teachings are not diluted, misunderstood, or distorted, and connect with the essence. Without a valid lineage, deity practice is at best a kind of exotic theatre performance, and at worst, a display of delusion. When we mention the word Tantra today, the first thing that springs to many people's minds is sex, largely due to pop culture and the misuse of sacred teachings for hedonistic purposes. We must remember that in Buddhism, everything is about achieving enlightenment, and practiced in this context. See my video on the Noble Eightfold Path for more information. While it's true that the higher tantric practices do work with sexual symbolism and energy, these practices are rare, highly advanced, and not solely about pleasure for pleasure's sake. They require ethical mastery, profound realization, and complete guidance from a qualified teacher. For most practitioners, Tantra is about the transformation of daily life into enlightened view and conduct, meditation, ethics, compassion, and awareness. Reducing Tantra to sex misses its entire purpose and is an ignorant corruption. Tantric Buddhism is not about retreating from life. It is about meeting life fully. Every moment becomes practice. Emotions become teachers. Difficulties become fuel. Ordinary life becomes sacred. This is why Vajrayana continues to thrive, even in the modern world. Tantric Buddhism is not mysterious because it hides truth. It is profound because it trusts experience deeply. It teaches that awakening is not elsewhere. It is woven into this very moment. If this exploration was meaningful, like the video, subscribe for more Vajrayana teachings, share your reflections in the comments. May wisdom flourish, may compassion deepen, may all beings benefit.